Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. My name is Jean, spelled like Gene.
My name is John with a silent H.
And we have got some special guests, some friends. We have some friends in the office.
We hope they think we're friends.
Yeah, I mean, we keep on calling them friends.
They
have
call
yet
us,
to say that.
Yeah, they have yet to confirm.
They call us, leave us alone.
Yeah.
They call us, stop following us.
Why are we here?
Yeah. It's a good old time.
It was good. We had two hostages today on the podcast. But yeah, welcome to episode 21. We have they're actually our friends. Like, all jokes aside, they're our friends.
Yeah.
Craig and Jas from
also known as
Team Richey,
on
also
YouTube.
known as Hustle Made, also known as our friends.
Yeah.
Like we said already.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had
if you guys don't know yet, they're our friends.
Yeah, in case you were wondering, we're very good friends. But yeah, we had a really good talk. We literally just finished it, and Craig is laying right there on the ground while we're doing this intro. But yeah, so we had a good talk. We talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we just wanted to say thanks for coming on here, and we wanted to do an intro because it would be weird if we didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you guys do enjoy listening to the podcast, make sure that you leave us a like, leave us a review on iTunes. It for sure helps us out. And if you're listening to it in any way, whether that's on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes, on Stitcher, whatever it is, be sure to screenshot it. Be sure to tag us. Hashtag Work for Change Podcast or at Gene Gloud.
Yep.
Or at Obese to Beast.
Yep.
John Glad.
Or and if you want to let Craig and Jas know that you liked the podcast, go on Craig's newest video and type in hashtag #SickJohnTent, and they'll know. They'll know. They will know.
No, do like hashtag Work for Change Podcast or something, because there's two of us.
Whatever, man. John, it's close enough.
Hope you enjoy episode 21, Work for Change Podcast. All right, Craig and Jas, welcome to the podcast. How you guys doing?
Yeah, it's good to be here for this job interview.
Yeah. I hope that you guys prepared
Did you bring
all
your
your
references?
answers. Yeah.
Okay,
I've
let's
got
hear
a good
them.
list of them.
Let's hear them.
I used to work in an ice
You know what the
cream.
worst?
Oh, no.
The worst question on a job interview is like, "What's your biggest weakness?"
Ugh, that's gross.
And and they're like, "How do you?"
And then you always say,
what
my
can you-
biggest weakness is I work too hard.
Yeah.
I'm just too good at these
I
things.
really am good at. And then I think about, you see Step Brothers, where he's like, I'm not really a people person. I don't take direction very well. Yep, that's about right.
Step Brothers is a movie that I literally hated for so long.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't finish watching it.
Why?
I don't. I just the scene where she's like talking to John C. Reilly, and she's like, "I just want to
Ball you up
and put you," and I was just like, "This is gross," and so I would literally turn it off every single time. And then I finally was like with Sam, I finally was like, I'll watch through it, and it's so funny. But I'm like 10 years late.
Yeah, you are.
To the Step
I
Brothers
had the
train.
same with the Lego movie. The first time I watched it, I was like, this is terrible. And then the second time round, I was like, my humor has completely changed.
Yeah, it's
I'm
weird.
so dark
That's weird
now.
that Step Brothers has been out for 10 years.
I just made up a number.
No, it's been out for 10. It came out in 2008.
Oh wow.
I think. Pretty sure.
Yeah, and I probably watched it last year. So it literally was probably 10 years later that I finally was like, oh, this is a funny movie.
But you didn't like the Lego movie?
When I first watched it, no. And then the second time round, the sarcasm was incredible. I
It's
think I've
so
changed as a
good.
person.
He
It's
was
so
sat there
good.
and he paused it. He was like, "Jas, you've got to come over and watch this because this is your kind of humor.
Mm-hmm.
You have to watch
It's so
this."
stupid.
So I
You know
haven't
what I
seen the
mean?
Lego movie. What do you think changed? Like, what's the humor like?
It's so dumb.
Yeah, dumb.
Oh.
Just
I
really,
think I
he
just
got
got less
dumber.
smart,
He
yeah.
got more
He
dumb.
just had an extra year of being with me, who's really sarcastic, and just learnt to deal with it.
That's
Yeah,
very
he's definitely picked it up pretty well.
true. I'm really bad though, when you're like, oh, what's your weakness? I'm instantly a CrossFitter, and I'm like, I don't know, like handstand walking or something.
Yeah.
You don't
Okay.
need to do that in the office.
Yeah. I always was not a fan of interviews. I remember one time, so when the first job I ever got was at the Van shoe store. It's like a shoe store here, right? And they would do group interviews. And those are like nerve-wracking because there's like 7 people, right? And you don't know how many people they're hiring. So I remember this was the first interview I ever did. And in my head, I was like, so I'm like competing now, right? So I was like, I'm with all these people and they're in the way of me getting a job. So I was thinking to myself, I don't know how many interviews they're doing. I don't know how many people they've talked to. So my goal is to make them remember me, right? So that was my goal. So you have to envision this. We're in this circle of people. I am very large, right? It was pretty much at my heaviest. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to address this pretty much. And one of the questions they asked was 3 words that describe you. And I was like hardworking, like
That's
committed.
2 already.
Yeah, committed. And then I said cute. They were just like, what? And I was like, hey, why not? Give it a shot, right? And then they went on. I made everyone laugh on that one. And then they went on to. Also, I did like research on the company, so like I was able to answer some of those questions. They're like, "Oh, what do you blah blah?" And I was like, "Oh, well, 1966 when Vans was like whatever." But then they asked who would be a celebrity that describes you, you know? And I was like, I would be Chris Farley before he started doing drugs, right? And then they all laughed again. So that was, I think that's how I got my first job. Was literally by just being so silly that they're like, "We have to hire this guy. He'd be so fun to work with."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was my interview experience. I would say. It was nerve-wracking, but I've always been kind of good in like the crowd, like when there's a lot of people, because I like to make people laugh.
Comedy
You know?
value always wins.
Yep, it
Yeah.
really does, 100%. And so, but I was so nervous. I remember thinking like, "What am I doing here?" I was like, first job. I was 18, I think, or something like that. But yeah, I crushed it.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of jobs, your guys' full-time job is YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about that. For people who don't know your story, people don't know where you came from. How did this start? Because you guys both had jobs.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube was like a side hustle.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had like a full-time proper job. Just
Okay.
because I did physiotherapy as a degree, and then I finished it, and I was like, I want to be a YouTuber. Dad, I'm going to be a YouTuber. And my dad was like, all right, okay. Do you want to do a massage course alongside it or something? Do you want, like
No.
No, so I just did like I sold ice creams at the local castle for a little bit until I didn't want to do that anymore.
Well, hold on. The local castle?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty cool. I
it's-
went there when
it's
I was
cool
there.
It's like it's just a castle?
It's a big castle.
That's
That
pretty
was
cool.
when you were like
We don't have
15, though.
those
That
in-
wasn't whilst you were doing your YouTube stuff.
I don't know. But basically, my whole thing has just been when I knew I wanted to be a YouTuber, I was like, I'm going to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And that was it. Just went for it.
Whereas I came from, I did business management and marketing at uni, and then I worked in marketing in events for like 6 years. And then when I met Craig, it was like when you're in marketing, you're a creative person, but I'm not very good at like graphic design and stuff like that. So I've always had the frustration of having all these ideas, but no way to actually get it out
Actualize
of my
them.
head. And then when I met Craig and he mentioned this vlogging thing, and then we started the ball started rolling with that, I was like, oh, okay, this works. This is kind of like, I feel like this is the right outlet for me to kind of get that across. So yeah.
I love the sound of the barbells in the background. It's quite nice in my earphones. It's quite soothing.
Yeah, right?
I'm like,
I wonder.
boom,
I wonder if people can actually hear it.
For everyone, yeah. Theater of the Mind.
We're just so CrossFit right
our
now.
office,
Yep.
our office is in the CrossFit gym, and there's currently barbell club going on
Yeah,
right now.
so they're dropping some heavy weights
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah, they're at least like 135.
that's heavy for
Super
me. All right?
heavy.
Yeah, we just did a good workout actually. We had a bit of fun. It was every 5 minutes, 500-meter row, 1 round of DT, and then just a nice set of toes to bar, and then like I don't know what happened. Like Jean is obviously better than Jean at CrossFit after the last workout,
my
and then today
gosh.
Jean just disappeared midway through.
So
We went to go start the 4th round, and I was like, oh,
Jean's
I
he's
had
just gone.
no clue what the workout was. I like asked it. It did not click in my mind, and so every like 5 minutes, you guys are like, "John, get back to the rower" or something, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like we have other. I'm still in the middle of DT or whatever." And so then after like 3 times of that, I was just like, "This is stupid," and like I like failed to hang clean, and then was just like, "I'm done." So I just walked out.
Jean gets really in his head when he's not doing well in a workout,
Yeah.
and so that's what happens.
Well, it wasn't necessarily that it wasn't. It's like when you're like, if you were playing soccer, football, whatever, and you didn't know the rules, and you're running around, and you don't understand why you keep on getting penalized. You know what I mean? You're like, what is happening right now? Like, I'm just like
running
I'm
around
just like
screaming.
I'm just like following you guys through the movements, and then like every 5 minutes, you guys are like, John, get back to the rower, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And so I was just like, at a certain point, I'm like, this is done.
He Chuck Norris'd it. He like finished the 5-minute like EMOM in 3. So
Yeah,
I had a
exactly.
5-minute EMOM in 3.
I had a
so
solid 3.5 rounds.
yeah.
Of the
Yep,
four, no,
You did like
4 rounds. 2.5.
And then
I had a solid 2.5
Yeah.
rounds.
Yeah, he just left and then started the new CrossFit move, which is rest. So
Yeah.
it was fine.
Yeah, in that workout.
Hey, well, what we've learned this open is that I'm really good at resting. So
Whatever.
Me too.
yeah.
It's okay. We can be good at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Jean thinks he's like the man now because we're currently tied up in our open competition.
So you won the first 2 open workouts, okay?
Yep.
And at some point I was just like, okay,
Decisively
cool. This is
as well, we should
And I was
add.
just like, this is
Completely
his
just, like,
open. I don't
wasn't
care.
even close. Jean probably should stop doing CrossFit.
Yeah, but you know what happens then? He gets confident, right? And then you're just like, oh, you know what? Actually,
Well,
I
and
don't
then
wanna
no,
take that
what I think
confidence
happened
away.
is Jean then like texted Dave Castro. He's like, "Hey, we
Give
need
me
to have a
some
talk.
give me some stuff.
I need to beat my brother."
No.
So then he's like, "Let me put some strict handstand push-ups while John David weighs 210 pounds."
So
It's not fair.
first of all, don't weigh that much lighter than you.
Well, okay, it's still.
This is what it's been like, team. If anyone's listening, this is what it's been like since they've been together. They just argue through
We
stuff.
have been bickering.
This is actually therapy. They're not actually. Craig and Jas aren't the guests. They said we need to do this podcast for you too, so you guys can work through your issues, and we'll be here.
It's kind of crazy, actually, seeing your relationship, because you just walk in, you spend like 3 hours just going head to head with things, and then you just say "see you later" and just walk off.
Yeah, that's how we do.
Yeah.
And it usually just gets louder and louder and louder and louder, and then you have coffee, and then it gets louder and louder and louder.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
the coffee's important.
We eat and we're happy for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then okay. So what's really happening? We're
Let me
tied.
explain.
We're
the
tied
real
right now
thing
in the
here.
open. He decisively beat me the first 2 weeks. The third week, I had a good week, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! This is fun! I'm gonna make a big deal out of it." I put up a
Well, let's say I didn't make a big deal of me beating you.
because you should beat me.
Oh, okay. See, look at that. Look, there's always a reason. No, but you should because you work out more than I do.
Yeah, this is therapy. How did you feel?
But week 3, I have a shot and I do it. Week 4 is another good week, and so I didn't think I was going to get this far. I didn't think it was literally going to be 2-2 with week 5 ending. And now that it is, like, I don't want to make a big deal about week 5 because you're probably
happened today.
going to win. You're probably going to win. So
Now
it's
he's
like
trying to be humble.
No,
See
no,
this?
no.
Now he's trying to be
Because
humble. You're probably going to win because
it's
you're much
going to
better
be a
than I am.
grunt thruster workout most likely.
Very good at thrusting.
And so it's like I'm probably not going to win 3 of them. So it's just like I was enjoying it while I was there, and then now that it's like actually a lot of tension, like it's making me nervous.
Yeah. Well, the main thing is that like actually I only went about 80% in that last workout because I wanted because me and Craig had a talk before the workout started, and he was like, I really want the last week to be deciding, so I actually tapered back this week
Yeah,
so
of
you
course
can
you
win.
did.
So
It's
that's
just,
actually what
you know,
happened.
people like drama, and I know you guys have fixed it this year around just to create that drama. But
Yeah.
It's just how it's been, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a lot of money riding on this. A lot of
Point
people
5 has
putting
just
bets.
been announced as Tia and Matt Fraser. They're going to go head to head
That's
at
gonna be crazy.
Waterpalooza. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Matt Fraser do it, you're just going to be like, this is so cool.
I just-
See Tia do it, you're just like, oh, it's so cool.
I wonder how the just the quality of it will be though.
Waterpalooza, they're
I
legit.
yeah, I
they'll
think
be-
so.
It will be legit.
I think
I don't understand. Didn't Waterpalooza already happen?
well, it's just where
Yeah,
they're
it's just like a lot of the sanctioned events hold a live announcement.
Mhm.
That's what's happening this year anyway, and I think that's a cool thing. It's just, yeah, that's going to be such a cool throwdown.
Like Filthy 150 have got their sanction event in November this year, and they're hosting the one that's in Ireland. So it won't necessarily be at their event venue. They're just hosting it at a box in Dublin.
I love this year's setup.
So
I was
so
gonna ask. I was
much.
gonna ask you about that. So, like, I know me and Jas were talking, and you said you were like one of the only people when you first heard about it. You were actually like, "This is cool. I like
Yeah.
that this is
Everyone
changing."
else was like really negative and like, "Whoa, where did regionals go?" And I was like, "Well, regionals was just like one like time, and the tickets sold out really fast, and especially in Europe,
overseas
where,
with you guys.
yeah,
it's
in
crazy.
Europe, like everyone is so supportive, and I think because it's so easy for everyone to get anywhere in Europe, the like spectator side of things is huge. So it was kind of disappointing for a lot of people last year. So really
I just
having all
think
these sanctioned events is like really good because it also gives more validation for the events themselves, because it otherwise it's like, yeah, it's a cool CrossFit comp, but it's not the open regionals or the games, whereas now there's something huge on the line at every one. So I think it's a great thing.
I just think a lot of people, you know, like, they just took away regionals and everyone's like, whoa, what's going on? But they didn't explain anything. You know?
That was the
Then
issue.
it took forever for the rule book to come out, and like people are just like, what is going on? Like, do they care? Like, kind of thing. And then when you see it all start to play out, the first year is always going to have teething problems. It's just how it is. Like, they haven't got it figured out fully. no one doing something, like we've figured it from clothing and YouTube and everything. When you start doing something, you've never got it fully figured out. And even when you're 3 years into something, you still don't have it, but you're just making the best of what you have and doing the best that you can. And I think this year it's super exciting. Like some people are saying, like, look at some of these national champions, including me. Like there was a couple of people in the first workout that got like 6 rounds, and they'll be going to the games, you know, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's good for us because in the UK there's not one standout athlete, and it's actually interesting over the 5 weeks to be like, wow, who's going to win it for the UK?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's more like a pride thing. It's like,
I wonder if they'll change anything like with the national champs, like people that are going to the games that are like we were talking to Josh Bridges yesterday, and he was like saying the person who's a national champ right now but is in last place of the national champs is like literally like 60,000th in the world or something like that. And the first
he
workout,
said like 120,000.
Yeah.
Because he's like the only person in his country doing it. But then these people will just go and they're like, they'll spend a lot of money and they'll probably just get shown up in the first day and just go home. But then if it was me and I was a fan of the sport, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm just going to go there and I'm going to go to the CrossFit Games. And I'm going to go to watch, but I'll compete on the first day and just completely just do it anyway. I'll get the free kit and then leave, you know?
Mm-hmm. I wonder what they're going to do with that, like as far as how much like stuff they'll give to because there's going to be like 500 people right now with the teams and then all the people, all the individuals. So I bet you they're going to be like, all right, here's one outfit.
Yeah.
If you make it to the second day, that's when you get the rest of your stuff.
I think they should do a cut-off, you know, like if you're not in the top like 3,000 in the world, like
even if you're a national
congratulations on being the national champion.
You get a little certificate or something like that.
Yeah. There's not no point you turning up, but I just think it's just not healthy for them to just get their ass handed to them.
Yeah.
Because it will happen,
but
it's also just not healthy for us just to sit there as spectators and be like, oh, look at that guy. Like, he can't even do it, you know? Like, that's not being rude. I just think that's just a good, like, little cut off in between and being like, well, you know, you got to at least reach a standard to be able to come to the games.
You might end up putting people in a situation whereby they're going to try and do something that they're 100% not capable of at that time, and that might be like a dangerous situation to put people in as well.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, like if there's like a heavy workout and it's the first workout where they're going to decide who's going to make it, and it's like, you know, they're doing squat cleans at 275, you know, and like these people can't do that. Yeah, that's a good point. That wouldn't be smart. That'd be really dangerous.
And
it's going to be
form goes out the window, and like we've only just clawed that side of things back as far as CrossFit being safe and bad form and all the rest of it.
It's going to be a crazy year with the cuts and stuff. You know, like 120 people or whatever are going to turn up at the games, and then after 2 days there's going to be 20, and then I think they were talking about like the last 2 days of competition only being 10.
Wow.
You know, so like there's a lot riding on the line. You know, you could mess up a workout, like especially like you look at the people like Matt Fraser's and the Tiers and people, and you're like, you know, like they should be safe. You know, they're just incredible athletes. They'll be peaking. They'll be just smashing these workouts regardless. But like you're like some of those people that are just a few steps back that you expect to be in that top 10. You know, if they have 1 or 2 bad days, you're like they could turn up for 2 days just to literally go home.
I feel like
that's crazy.
You need a top 20 rather than, I think top 10's too narrow for the amount that the rankings can change throughout the different workouts depending on, like, everything was kind of endurance based at the beginning of this year's games. The CrossFit stuff didn't really happen for a few events in, so I feel like they need to manage that.
Especially with CrossFit, like, because of how different everything is. There could be a whole day where you're like, man, these events aren't for me. Or, you know, two open workouts where you get really cocky, Jean, and you do really well in those, and then the third one you get beat, and then you go back in your place. You know what I mean?
That was like this year's games, though. You know, everyone after the first 2 days was like, "Oh, Matt Fraser isn't doing as well as he usually would." I'm like, bro, this is like,
well, he was like in first still, anyway.
Yeah. He's like, he had a bigger lead than he had the year before, but also, yes, he's not doing CrossFit.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know, like it's not like the typical CrossFit stuff that you see with the bicouplets and like the thruster ladders and the clean and jerks and whatever. Because then as soon as he went indoors, you were just like, oh, there he goes. He's off, you know, and he still managed to hold his own in a bike event, going over an obstacle course, dragging a dummy. Like it's crazy to think what that guy can do.
I can only imagine like being in the position he's in, because like you guys know that we had the interview with him last week, which was awesome. But like there's as like fans, we tried to rein it back as like asking the fan questions, but like I can only imagine what it must be like now, because at first it was like people thought he could win, he finally won, and now the fact that he's been so dominant, everyone expects him to be that dominant every year. So like he could still win by like 80 points, and people will be like, he's falling off because he didn't win by 120 points. Like that, I can't imagine being in that position. Same with like, because with Rich Froning before it was like he would win. Right, like a lot of times he wouldn't be in first until the last couple events, and so but everyone still says he's the GOAT. I think he's an absolutely incredible athlete.
Yeah,
but like
16.2 was very impressive.
yeah, that was that.
3 seconds for a missed double under there.
I know, yeah, it's a little.
Is a
ridiculous.
lot, but then he
Yeah.
still won it, and I'm like, I'm glad he still won it.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. But like, I can only imagine the pressure that Matt must feel because it's like I have to win dominantly. I doubt that he really focuses on it too much, but that must I would be like, this is kind of annoying, man. I'm like, I'm winning by 20 points, and
There's a
people are
lot
like,
of pressure on his shoulders.
yeah.
And
yeah.
I think, you know, like he will win dominantly over and over. I think like Valner's an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
Like he's the one that I look at in this thing and be like, he could just come up out of nowhere and be like, they could be close. But I still think, for me, Fraser is just that level ahead mentally and just physically. And I think he's one of those people that are willing to go to a dark place more times than not.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell from the stories that we've had with being with different people, if he sucks at something, not sucks because he's never going to suck at something, but if there's something that he's like,
I'm not as good
yeah,
at
this isn't good for me. He's just like, right, I'm going to do this so much.
Yeah.
Like when we were with Tia, they were talking about how they did a workout and he had like there was weighted ring muscle ups in it, and he didn't feel like he did as well in the workout as he probably should have. And then like he came back. Oh no, this wasn't with Tia. I think it was Cara. And she basically came back into the gym like later when they were supposed to go and train, and he'd already been there for an hour just doing weighted ring muscle ups. And I'm like, that's what it takes for you to be a winner. You know, like you recognize you're not good at something, being self-aware of it, and being like, okay, this is what I suck at. I'm gonna do it more.
And when you hear that stuff, it's like, oh, of course. But like, I know for me, when there's something I suck at the gym and I do it and it like crushes me, the last thing I want to do is that. I'm like, I don't want to do that because it's not fun, you know. And I get it, like. I'm in the gym for a different reason than Matt Fraser is. Like he's there to win the games, you know. That's why he's working out. For me, I'm working out because I want to
win the series between you
I want to beat Jean, but I'm there to have fun and to get fit. So like when something's like really tough for me, it's hard for me to want to get to that level of like I want to do this all the time and be annoyed with it, you know, because I'm sure it's still annoying to Matt Fraser when it's like this thing I should be better at this.
I just want to bring up that you've brought up our competition more times than I have.
Whatever.
So who's really the one here?
That's just because it's on the podcast, but you know, in real life, you bring it up more than I do. So
Probably.
Just true.
Probably. Okay, so you guys, let's bring it back to talking about our guests.
Whatever.
You guys,
people see us 6 times a week on YouTube. You know,
Yeah, I
like
know.
I'm done with those kids now.
well, I mean, it's nice, like a different format, you know, podcast.
Yeah.
Like, there's no jump cuts here. There's no anything like that.
No
And that's
memes either. Sorry.
Yeah, it's really hard when you can't meme.
Yep.
Your meme challenge.
Let's bring on King Julian.
No.
But you guys, like, when you, I just remember, like, from watching the channel a couple years ago, the kitchen handstand push-ups. Like, that was something you guys.
Hey, people know us for
drilled.
that. The fridge shot and the kitchen handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
We're known for those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was after the first open, I think, 16.4, where there was 50 kipping handstand push-ups. And I remember finishing it. I didn't finish it up. I got to about 20-odd push-ups, and I was like, I really need to get better at these. And so I just started doing them against the kitchen cabinet because you could slide up and down just five sets of 10. And it paid off the next year because I got through them and did quite well. So, yeah, people, we're known for that. Yeah.
You did that for a while. How long were you doing those?
He used to make us do them before we went to bed, and he was like, nope, we've not done our handstand push-ups today. And I was like, I'm not even warm. This is ridiculous. And then we'd have to go and do like 3 sets of 10 or whatever. Yours were 3 sets of 20.
And now look at you. You're banging them out. You got 13 strict handstand push-ups in the workout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys would fold up a yoga mat?
Yeah, because
For
it
your
was
head?
not a very thick one. Like, I don't mind smacking my head off the floor, to be honest. But Jas, I just wanted to
Is that what
protect it.
happened?
Yeah, I think that's why I start to enjoy different humour now.
Yeah.
So how did you, Jas? How did you find CrossFit? Like, how did you be like, I'm doing CrossFit?
Well, so I'm from, sporting-wise, I'm from a horse riding background. So I've ridden since I was 6. And then when I was on placement from university, I had to sell the horses just because there wasn't any time. I wasn't at home. I was going to be away for a year. So that kind of left, like, I was already used to having something that consumed my whole life. Because when you have horses, it's every morning, every evening, every single day.
Yeah.
You can't just have a day off. So I was already used to that side of things. And then it was actually a few years later, maybe 2 years later, when I started working on site at where the CrossFit box is.
Were you doing any like physical activity, any sort of like working out, but like
not
in between
really,
those?
like
Yeah, most Friday and Saturday nights, she like if you can see Jas dance, she's one of the best dancers you'll ever meet.
Do a little jig.
All right, so she was a groover. I reckon like 4 or 5 hours on Friday night and Saturday night. She was like full on going for it. So that's the fitness.
I
that she
used
had.
to go out a lot, but I like that Craig now relates it to exercising purposes.
That's all I did was dance.
I'll
Nothing else happened.
I'll take that. So no, not really. Like I was always a very active person, though. I was kind of involved in all the sports at school, so I had that feeling of like I did want to do something. So I'd try different things, or I'd go to the gym, but I'd never had a PT session in my life. I didn't know what I was doing, so I did the typical, I'll maybe do 3 sets of 10 on every machine once I've gone
Like a
done
little circuit or something
yeah,
like that.
once I've done a full circle, I'll leave, you know, and then, so I had no idea what I was doing. And then also because where I used to work, by the time I got home, it was quite late. So I was like, well, I don't want to train right now. So then my friends that I used to work with said, oh, we've started this thing called CrossFit. And I was like, oh, what is it? And they said, oh, you know, it's kind of like cardio. They have barbells and do gymnastic stuff. I was like, wow, never tried anything like that before. And it took them a few weeks to persuade me to go along. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'll come and try this. And I went to the box in the class before. We used to call it the big class. So it was basically just WOD. But it was big class. And they were slamming the bars down. They were sweating and just dying on the floor. And I was like, oh my, what am I getting myself into? And that was actually the first time I'd ever picked up a barbell.
Really?
Nice.
Never touched a barbell before. I was like, what's this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And then with the whole weights kind of thing, because I come from quite a practical background with the farm and the horses and stuff, I used to try and relate it back to that. So like if it was a deadlift, or if I had to move something or pick up a, you know, heavy ball or whatever, I'd be like, well, if I was still working on the farm, I would be on my own and I'd have to move this thing to this place, or I'd have to lift myself up here. So I kind of tried to turn it into a practical thing so that mentally it wasn't a scary barbell. Like I would try and overcome it that way. But needless to say, I still put 5 plates on for most WODs. And then me and Craig met in the summer.
How long were you doing CrossFit before you met?
Oh, just maybe 5 months, but it was kind of on and off because of the event side of things with my work.
Okay.
I'd kind of be really committed for 2 weeks and then I'd be gone for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah, it was quite difficult to keep any consistency.
And you weren't at Faber yet?
Yeah, that was at Faber.
That was at Faber,
yeah,
okay.
So I used to work on site where Faber is.
Okay.
So that was my first and only CrossFit box I've ever been a member at. And then me and Craig met in the summer, and then we kind of got together towards the kind of November, December of that year. And
That's
it
called
was
perseverance. She told me she liked tall guys, right? And I'm like, I'm not even 6 foot.
Tall enough.
Yeah.
we need to remember Craig came from a bodybuilding background, which as much as that appeals to many girls, I was like, nah, I am not. You spend more time getting ready than I do. No, thank you.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
But he's
That wasn't good.
he's humbled over the years.
It's the beard. The
Yeah, I've just become more hairy. I just let myself go. You know, like before I was like a well-maintained garden. You know, now I'm just like
a forest.
He's
Yeah,
just
I just
like
grow.
he's just like a caveman now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Craig actually, we went and I will never forget it. We went and did a leg session at the gym. Now I'd never done a PT session.
It was like
in
our
my
first
life.
date.
And
Honestly, it was like our
He was
first
like-
2 dates were like at the gym.
he was like,
Same
"Oh,
with
come and
Sarah.
train with me." I was like, "Oh, okay." And to be fair, as much as I literally did not know what hit me by the end of that session, it was horrendous. It was the first time I had ever pushed myself
You felt
physically
accomplished after.
to that, and I was like, something just clicked, and I was like, okay, this is how you push yourself. And then I kind of was left feeling like, oh, if I'd have just maybe invested in a PT session at some point, I'd have maybe realized that you are able to push your body or whatever. Because even like when I used to do my eventing when I was horse riding, it's very physically taxing, but you don't think of it as you because you're too busy thinking about other things and, you know, how the horse is going and stuff like that. So you don't think of yourself. But when you're literally just you in a PT session with the weights and the machines and stuff, you have to think about that.
It was also the first time she ever tried pre-workout, and she wouldn't tell me that she felt like she was going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well,
Obviously, because she wanted to look hard as nails. When obviously, first
Her
date, she
skin
was doing
itching.
shoulder press apparently, and like her face was tingling so bad, and she thought like, "There's something wrong with me."
yeah.
And
I used to get this like allergic reaction whereby I like panicked. I used to hyperventilate, and I used to get this like itching and like, oh, it was horrible. So then I was sat there doing, he forgot to tell me that it had beta-alanine in it, which, you know, don't be, if it might make your face tingle or whatever. Did not tell me any of this. So I downed this
Sounds like Craig.
pre-workout.
bang it in, 4
And
scoops.
I'm there doing some seated dumbbell press, and I was like, my face is tingling. What is, and I was just like, oh my God, is this okay? Am I gonna, and I was like panicking inside, but just did not say anything. And then at the end, I think you might have mentioned it, just like, oh, did you get this as well? And I was just like, well, yeah, thanks for telling me. I thought I was dying up there, but like just kept quiet because I didn't want to say anything and be like, because I was complete gym newbie. Like I had no idea. The whole bodybuilding thing had never like even crossed my mind or anything like that. So yeah, I was just like horses through and through, and then this came up and.
So
Yeah.
when you, I remember seeing like the video that you posted about your transformation. And so how much did you ever like weigh yourself before? Because I wanted to know, like, was it ever like in your head, I want to lose weight and I'm gonna try and lose weight, or was it just through you working out and like through CrossFit that you kind of just like
I did.
changed your body? And
Yeah, I did want to. So I was always very conscious of my weight and what I ate and stuff like that. But I never dieted. I never weighed my food, measured my food. I did used to go on the scales, and that was kind of like I didn't really know what I should have been at, but I knew that if I kind of like tipped a point, I was like, well, I think I've maybe eaten a bit too much the last week or whatever. But just with no real structure. So when I started CrossFit, I was like, okay, so pretty much the typical go up to Coach Kieran, who owns the gym, and be like, so I want to look like this. Do whatever you need to do to just make me look like this, you know. Just completely unaware, basically, of what CrossFit was, the community side of things. Like I had no idea. I didn't know what the games was. I didn't know what the open was, and continued to be completely oblivious to most of these things for the first entire year that I was kind of dabbling in and out of it. So then when we did the open the first year in 2016, that's when...
was okay. There's a funny story coming here.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Right,
is
so like Jas was doing the overhead
Oh, is
walking
there?
lunge, and I don't know. For me, I just try and be motivational.
This isn't funny. This is mean.
And she was just doing it, and I just shouted, "Do you want to be average?" Just like, and she was just like, "What?"
You said it
Like, out
more
of
mean
nowhere.
like that. You were like, rah, rah, and then I was overhead walking lunges, and I was like trying my hardest. I'd never done a WOD RX ever. And Craig was like, you can reverse grip was it chest bar or pull-ups? And he was like, you can reverse grip it, so you can do this RX. You're capable of doing this RX. I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And then it was horrible. And I was doing these last set of overhead walking lunges, and he was like, do you want to be average? And I was like, and then Ed, literally, one of the guys at the box,
Yeah,
came
I
up to me
was-
afterwards, and he was like, are you okay? Because I looked like I was about to cry.
I quickly learned that you can't, like, Jas is one of those people in workouts that she doesn't get pushed off just
Screaming.
out.
Yeah, everyone's different with that.
Yeah.
Everyone is very different.
I've
with
always
how-
been the same though, because like take for example when you're a kid, you're growing up and you get told off by your parents or whatever. My mum and me are very similar, which is why we kind of butt heads a bit sometimes anyway. But she would tell me off and be like, "Rrr," and then as soon as you shout at me, I switch off. I'm just like, nope, screw you. Absolutely not. And then my dad would come in a few hours later and he'd sit down and he would talk to me. And that, I am very receptive to that. So now
You just can't do that during a WOD. Like, oh, Jas, let me just have a chat to you.
Craig's actually very good at it now. He paces me
I just
really
pace
well.
him more. Like, because
And-
we've
Just
trained
don't
together
let-
for 2 years.
Yeah, I've watched you
3
guys like
years.
coach each other. You guys kind of do the same thing. Like you're just like you make sure you can hear him, but you're not screaming. And then for Craig though, you're
I
pretty
scream
good.
sometimes.
And then towards the end, because I think it does fire you up
thrive
a
off
little
someone.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, especially with Jas, I know a pace. Like after training with her for 2 years, I know when she's gonna fall off the wagon and when like I can pace her through it. So most open workouts now, I'll just completely pace her through the whole thing, because then she doesn't have to think about what pain she's in. She has to think about when I tell her to go back up the bar, you go back up to the bar. When you don't, like rest, I'll count down a rest. I'll count down a handstand push-ups, count down everything.
It's really interesting actually to see like how people mentally react to different situations. So we're actually very good at dealing with each other, but we're almost complete opposites in those end situations at the end of a workout. So for example, if I was to kind of baby Craig and be like, oh, it's okay, Craig, don't worry, just if you can do one more burpee, he would just be like, oh, he would kind of see that opportunity to be like, oh, it's okay. So because you've got you people that are very close to you and you feel like you can be like that around them, whereas I'm like, come on, Craig, pick it up, like, you know, you can do one more. That works with him. Whereas for me, my brain works opposite. So if he's like, come on, you can, why are you not doing this kind of reaction, my head, instead of going positive, my head goes negative.
Why can't I do
I'm
it?
clearly not fulfilling expectations here. I'm clearly a failure. So that doesn't work for me. Whereas then he's like, come on, you've got it. I believe in you. You've got one more. And that, for me, works.
Yeah,
so
like,
it's
I
kind of
believe in you kind
strange.
of thing,
Yeah. Like,
It
but both
is
things work. As
interesting.
long as you know what works for you, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way to react. And you can't, it's a natural reaction. You can't, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe change it,
We'll
but-
always try and do open workouts and stuff, like especially with Jas. Like I'm not too bothered about having a crowd around. Like I don't enjoy it, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know
mind
you-
it. Like some
you
people
don't
when they
really
shout
like-
and stuff, like it's kind of cool, you know, and it keeps me going. And like I'm fine. I'm not going to stop in front of people. But like I know with Jas and open workouts, it's just like if we can stay away from as many people as possible, and I can just talk her through the whole thing, like she's going to do so much better than everyone being around her. I think it was like last year or something, or the year before, there was the double unders, and Jas was like doing them, and someone had finished, and then everyone basically just turned and was like, Jas, it's you, and then they were shouting, and basically like tripped over a few double unders and was just like, I can't do this, and just walked off and had like a small panic attack at the gym, just from like so many people just
Craig
trying to
could
be
move
behind
against
her.
the tree outside, and he was like, breathe.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, I was gonna say that like a lot of people are like, oh, it's so cool when like everyone in CrossFit like cheers on the person that's like finishing last. I'm like, yes, but at the same time, that could be literally somebody's nightmare.
yeah, yeah.
Like, please don't. Like, just let me finish. And just for me, I would say I'm a person that like I don't really mind it too much. But again, it depends on where my headspace is. If I'm like feeling pretty good about the workout and people are like screaming at me, I'm like, yeah. But if I'm like I'm doing terrible right
Yeah.
now, and then people are like, come on, you can do it. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, obviously, I can't.
That's
You
like
know,
what,
that's-
when we were talking to Chris Hinshaw the other day, he was saying that when he does group things with people, he really likes to do things within a
domains.
time domain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when we did the running, we were running for 50 seconds, we'd rest for 10, we'd go again, we'd do 10 sets of that or whatever it was. So, and that's really good because then nobody feels like they're going to finish last.
And you have to average the pace. It was pretty cool. It was a fun one. So you run for 50 seconds one way, 10 seconds rest, you run for 50 seconds back, and you have to try and stand on the same spot that you left off
okay.
on. So then you can have like a pacing that you were doing, and you do it for 8 rounds. And he was like, yeah, I basically made you run for 8 minutes, you know, because like 7 of the 8 minutes at a good pace. Like we were running at a good pace, and it was a really fun thing. And then everyone was like ending up at the same place, and it was just pretty cool.
Yeah, especially when you're working out with people that are very different levels. I think like doing either like EMOM stuff, so you can kind of choose how, you know, okay,
and scale
he's
like the
doing
rep
16
range.
calories, I'll do 8, whatever it might be, right? Or doing just like an AMRAP. So it's like, doesn't matter, you're all finishing at the same time because, yeah, when it's like rounds and someone finishes literally like 30 minutes before someone, you know what I mean? Like 6 minutes before someone, it's just, that's not fun. You know,
Yeah.
when people are like all dead on the ground and they're just looking at you and you're still working out, and you're just like,
Like even with the warm up this morning, you guys did 15-15, I did 10-10. I was
Yeah.
like, I know what I can do within this kind of time frame that we've got and
it's
stuff.
a rough warm up, but we did it for like 3 weeks leading up to the Open, just because, you know what, it's like 10 minutes of additional conditioning without really even figuring it out. Like it's just, so it's a 10-minute EMOM, first minute 15 cal row, second minute 15 burpees over the rower, or just 15 down ups, or like we'll do maybe
Sometimes just
15
burpees.
thrusters, or like just something that you just chuck in, and then every so often we might do 15, 16, 17, 18 just to spike it a little bit more. Get really nice and warm, and it's just like a bit of conditioning, sucks a little bit, you've done 75 burpees over the row and a 75 calorie row in 10 minutes. That's no joke.
It's not bad. Yeah, we did it this morning. It was. I realized I had not fully recovered from 19.4. I was like, oh, I can feel that in my throat a little bit.
But it's like it's a cool little like just a mental game to start off working out, and I think you just have to find your numbers in that. So like a lot of people will be like, oh, that's quite high numbers. I'll start with 10, and once you get comfortable after a week of doing 10, you'll do like 11. And then, like, it's a nice thing because before you know it, you'll be doing 15 and 15, and you'll be like, oh, it's a pretty good level. People will be looking at that going, God, I'm going to struggle to do that. And then you're there going, yeah, well, I do it most days. So, because 10 minutes isn't too taxing, and the movements aren't too, like, central nervous system bashing or anything. You just get warm.
Well, and then, again, like you said, was you can always scale it back. If you're like, if it's a day where you're just like 15 is too much right now, you're like, all right, I'll do 13.
I think you should generally try and work for 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Like if you're not sure, just try, see where you're at the 40-second mark on your first round and be like, right, okay, I'll try and either maintain that or maybe go, like sometimes I'll go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'll try and increase by one each round.
It takes 90 seconds for your aerobic system to turn on. So the first round or two is going to be crap. Like it just is. You're just like, whoa, this is terrible. And then you get about 3 rounds in and you're like, I feel like I'm at a steady pace now. And I'm just kind of like getting into it and it's fine. So, yeah, it's good. It's a good little thing.
Mine turned into just 45 seconds of surviving.
I saw you on the burpee and I was like, he did like 9 burpees.
Yeah. I literally was like, it's been 45 seconds. I need to. And then I went to the next one.
I'll sit on this row. And then one time we started rowing, he didn't start rowing for like 10 seconds. I was like, is he done now?
Yeah.
No. So I had a question. So you guys have Hustle Made, right? And I'm kind of curious about how that started, because the YouTube was its own thing, and then Hustle Made kind of started afterwards, right?
Yeah, I always knew I wanted a clothing brand.
And it's not Team Richey.
Yeah.
It's like its own thing.
Yeah.
When I started, I always wanted a clothing brand. I always wanted something to stand behind, but I never really figured the name. I was just like, it'll happen organically, and it did. Everything that we've worked for, like, people look at us now and they're like, oh, you hit 150,000 subscribers. Like this last month, 28 days, we've hit like 2.7 million views, which is freaking millions. You know, that's a lot for like, especially as CrossFit isn't a huge.
It's a niche thing.
Yeah, like if you're a moderate gamer on YouTube, you've got over 1 million subscribers, right? If you're a moderate beauty or like makeup or like beautician, you got over 1 million subscribers. We grinded to get 150,000. We traveled all around the world just interviewing cool athletes. You are the biggest
CrossFit vloggers.
Yeah, things like that, which is just it's crazy to us now because we're still Craig and Jas from the box. We're no different.
Yep.
It's taken.
You just have a bigger beard now.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, but it's taken 3 years of just grind to get there and hustling and saying yes to opportunities and trying to create opportunities, and people see you now as just this successful person, and they're like, oh, someone came up to us the other day and they were like, oh yeah, so how does all this happen? Like you're getting to do all this cool stuff with people. I'm like, you don't see the last 2.5 years of like.
Well, and they don't see the editing and then like the behind the scenes, all the stuff you're doing with the emails and stuff. Because I've been there, when I was there for 6 weeks, and I've seen it all. So it's just. That's not the issue, but that's one of the hardest parts about YouTube is because if you shared that all the time, nobody would watch the videos because it's like I'm not
a common question you get is, what is your job? And I'm like, oh, like,
you're watching my job. You're commenting that on my job
being creative is mentally exhausting sometimes. Like it's the funnest thing in the world, especially when you're traveling around and you're with people. It's super easy because the one quote I said it on the other podcast too that we did. It's like, don't show you, show the world, right? Because like I couldn't do a freaking vlog about me 6 days a week, 7 days a week, showing off me. Like I'm not exciting. Like I'm not going to the games. I'm not Josh Bridges, who's a freaking ex-Navy SEAL. Like I'm Craig Richey from blooming Markham Drive. Like who's that dude? So I always like to include the world and different people in the podcast. And well, we don't do a podcast, but you know what I mean. Like I feel like I'm on a podcast now, so I'm talking about a podcast. But in the vlogs, and yeah, it's taken us 3 years of hustle to get here, and then one day it clicked, and I was like, I want the brand to be called Hustle Made, because you make you, and you put in that hustle to create what you are. Like the vlog is Hustle Made. Like I am Hustle Made. Jas is Hustle Made. And a lot of people get behind it. I think that's why it's been successful. It's not because it's the best clothing in the world, because
definitely not.
It is.
I would never wear it.
No, but like
he's wearing it.
It's not like it's just more people wear it with pride, and that's what makes me super happy about it. I didn't want it to say hustle on the t-shirt full, because it's just like, that's a bit cheesy.
Yeah, you guys did a good job not making it a cheesy, because hustle Or like it could be like the Rise and Grind.
Yeah.
That's such a cheesy thing to say.
Yeah,
Rise and Grind.
I knew the name. I knew what I wanted it to be called, and then it took a while to like figure out how we were going to design it and what it was going to look like. And then one day I was like, Jas was in the shower at the time, and I was like, I think I've nailed this, on my editing like software. So basically where I make my videos, so it's just like different set fonts. And I'm like, right, yeah, I'm going to put some of these fonts together that I like. And I was like, there it is. And I ran upstairs to Jas and I'm like, what do you think? Like round the shower curtain.
Showering, nothing
I
right
was
now.
like, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, we'll go with that one.
Yeah, and I'm just super proud of it, like it's kind of like a secret code in a way. Like people that like we get messages all the time. They're like, I saw this guy in Sainsbury's wearing a Hustle Made t-shirt, and we got the eye contact. And you're like, because it's still not bigger than us. Like our goal is in the next couple of years to make it bigger than us. I want it to be everywhere. I want people to be like buying into it because they believe in the brand and not following Craig and Jas, and I think
they might not even do CrossFit either.
Yeah, that's starting to happen. Like
I think it's starting
cool.
to get there. There's people that now know about the brand that don't know about us and the channel and stuff, and that's the direction that we want it to. We want it to be its own entity. So, and it works out perfectly with what we do because Craig's full time on the vlogging and the editing side of things.
The making it look cool.
Yeah.
And then I basically run Hustle full time. So as from January 2018, so just over a year ago, that's when I actually gave up my full-time job, that's a big decision because like I
was
got
telling her to do it for about 3 or 4 months before, just because one of the things that
it's a big jump to take. It's a big jump.
Yeah, and Craig, as he's already mentioned, has never had a full-time job, so he can't comment on this.
I just pride
but
I don't understand.
I started working on the farm when I was like 12, 13 years old, so I've always had like a really good work ethic.
Hard work is like ingrained.
Yeah, like I enjoy working, and I enjoy the reap the rewards and whatever. So, and also it's that independence. Since a very young age, I've had an independent income that's mine, that I've worked for, and to kind of give that up and take the risk of basically Hustle wasn't moving forward without me working on it because Craig hasn't got the time with the videos.
Yeah.
So as long as it was just sat there, nothing would happen. So it was either, okay, I've got enough experience and qualifications and whatever to pick this job back up in 12 months' time if this doesn't work. We've kind of decided that between us we can make this happen. So the decision was for me to leave work to work on Hustle full time and to just give it a shot and just see where we could take it. And thankfully it's been
I'm a realist
successful.
And I'm a dreamer, right? Like I told Jas like 3 or 4 months before she actually quit a job to quit a job because the way that I say I'm a dreamer is like I can see how big things can be. And I'm also a realist as to go, yeah, we can make it happen, or no, we can't. Right? Same thing with the YouTube channel. Like when I started, I was like, yeah, we can hit 100,000 subscribers. It's not being arrogant or cocky. It's like being like, yeah, I feel like the way that I'm going to create it and the amount of videos I'm going to put out a week and the feel that's going to come across from the videos, we're going to make it. And I keep telling Jas, like, there'll be one day when we'll hit 250,000. There'll be one day when we hit 500,000. That's not being cocky or arrogant or anything. It's just being like, I know I'm going to put in the work.
Well, I don't think it's cocky. It would be silly if that's your goal.
Yeah.
If you're doing that every day, and to not think that you can get there, like, well, what's the point?
If you did that every day and didn't believe in yourself and be like, I'm doing this, but I don't ever think I'm going to make this.
Exactly. So
like you need that.
It would
drive.
be like working at a 9 to 5 and being like, I don't think I could ever become the manager here. Well, what are you doing?
But that's the
here?
same thing with
like,
that's the same thing with the Hustle Made clothing. Like 4 or 5 months before Jas actually quit, I was like, Jas, this could be absolutely huge. You just need to put the time in it. Like I'm willing to support you with the vlogs, and then obviously Hustle will support you once we get rolling with it. But we need to do it as soon as possible, and it took a while to like convince her to be able to like be like, okay, I'm doing it. But I can see where it could go, and now we're like 2 years in, and it's going crazy. And this year we're like completely up in the game. Like, we're still new to business, and 2 years for a business is nothing, like nothing at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we've had a good, successful first couple of years, and I feel like we've got like the solid foundation now. Now we need to bring out the big guns and do like something just different. I want this brand to be the freaking coolest brand ever, and I think just with the vlogs and everything, we can make it happen. And it's exciting. I'm really excited.
What was it like the first time you guys saw someone in a Hustle shirt that like wasn't like a friend of yours that you gave the shirt to? Like, was it at Body Power?
And
was that in the park in London?
No,
That was
I
a
think
We
that
Don't
was the
Quit
We Don't
t-shirt.
Quit t-shirt.
That was pretty cool. So we just like
Yeah.
sent out the We Don't Quit t-shirt on like a Thursday, and then we were just walking through the park in London on a Friday, so that's like an hour and a half from us. We just went in for like a meeting and stuff, and then some guy rode past on his bike with a We Don't Quit t-shirt, and I was like, we just sent that out yesterday. Like, this guy's like, keen.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
That was
that
cool.
really cool. The hustle stuff, it's always cool to see people in it, even now,
pretty.
and to
Especially
see
during,
how
like, open live announcements.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
most
that was
recent
cool.
one.
Oh,
There's just that guy in the
it's
background.
so cool, and it kind of blows me away every time, just the support that we get from people, and now people that have kind of bought from the brand previously will know that we run it on like a launch period. So we'll go live, and then after that we'll put everything into production, and then the week after that we'll send it all out. So within a 2-week time span, the launch is kind of complete. But as we kind of develop new products, and as Craig mentioned, we're learning as we go. You know, we're not professionals at this. We're trying our best to, you know, do the best we can and grow the brand and kind of.
Sometimes you do wish you had that, like me and Jazza spoke about it. We're like, oh, I wish we had some like outdoor,
Expert.
yeah, like a mentor.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
like I know how big hustle can be. You know, and like Jazz and I are doing our best to grow it. But you know, if you had that one person who was like from Nike or something, and like had been there before and had all the manufacturing like contacts and had the right designers that they knew that could just put stuff together. Because I design everything, and it's because I want to wear it. You know, like I'm like, that looks cool. I'm gonna wear that, and I'm gonna enjoy it, right? And basically, then we send
feel
it to
bad
someone.
because we
and
feel like we almost don't do it justice
Yeah.
sometimes.
sometimes like we're working our asses off to make it as big as we can, but we know that you just get that little bit of an accelerator or someone that just has that inside knowledge, and that can take it from one level to another straight away. And it's frustrating sometimes because, you know, people look at us and they're like, oh, they must know everything about the clothing stuff because they do it. And it's just like, no, you know, like we're still getting it, but we've not quite got it. You
It'll
know,
be
and
good though. This year we've put things in place to, so the more technical garments like your leggings, shorts, guys shorts, sports bras, all things like that, and bespoke clothing as well. So you can literally create your own templates and
bring out
exactly
some
how you
cool
want
jackets.
I'm
it
excited.
to be.
I don't
yeah,
want
so
it just to be
it's-
CrossFit either. You know, like you're talking about like the sports stuff, and it's great. Like this year, there'll be like some really nice jackets that come out that are like, oh, that is
And like
that is
some
good. It's more like
jumpers
lifestyle too.
and-
You know, Hustle Made isn't just sport. Like
Yeah.
hell no.
Absolutely.
Like
not.
Hustle Made, you should put on and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna,
Hustle. I'm
yeah.
gonna work. I'm gonna sit in this coffee shop and hustle on my computer.
Yeah,
That's John.
exactly.
Is what that is.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
I'm excited for like where it's gonna go this year though, but that's kind of we've taken these last few launches to kind of solidify confidence in the numbers that we can hit for these things, because obviously when you move production over to, you know, China, Turkey, wherever it might be, because at the moment we actually produce everything in the UK still, other than the socks. So, you know, when you do those things, then you have to pre-order all those things, and they take a longer turnaround. So it'll be a case of, right, okay, this is what I think we can hit now, so this is what we're going to put the money into, and then the launch will go live, and then fulfillment can start immediately. Right.
Until you work in it, you don't understand how long it takes to turn round clothes.
Yeah.
Right, so like we were bringing out this bag, and we're still bringing out the bag, right? So you get a bag, right? You want the sample, so you get the sample of the bag by itself, right? That takes like 3 or 4 weeks to turn up. You then contact the person who's making it, and you're like, yeah, I just want to make these adjustments. They were like, okay, it'll be 6 weeks. So 6 weeks, that's a month and a half. Then you get the second bag, and you're like, all right, I like it, but I need this, this, and this done to it. So then 6 weeks again, and before you know it, that's 3 months. And then you're like, all right, I like
It's a
this,
waiting
but
game for
one
sure.
more thing. And like people are there messaging you and saying like, when's this bag coming out?
Yeah, I saw
love
it a year ago.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I want you to have it,
Yeah.
you know, like so bad, but they don't
But you-
realize that it can take 6 months to turn around a product that you're happy with, because
Yeah.
I don't want to sell anyone something that they're like, oh, this is crap.
It's like
Mhm.
You know?
substandard, yeah. 'Cause we would rather get it right and everyone be happy with it. So
Yeah.
We're in the process of trying to get Work for Change t-shirts, and it has literally taken months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a pain.
Mhm.
in the ass.
Months.
Yeah.
And,
We're-
and that's like
we're
just
still
it's
working on it,
it's like a
guys.
simple,
Don't be mad at
it's a
us.
simple logo t-shirt,
Mhm.
and it is like, it's a thing, man.
Yeah, it's for sure a thing. Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you guys have met a bunch of games athletes
Mhm.
and been on awesome trips with them
Yeah.
and done awesome things with them.
Who's
yeah,
your
it's
favorite?
surreal.
No. Let's not go there. It's obviously me. I've been to the games twice as a spectator. Okay. What is the funniest story you have from any of the games athletes?
I don't know.
This is taking a page from your guys' book when you guys interview them. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, actually spending time with athletes. There's different stories, like when Khalifa pushed himself to a moment where he just lay on the floor and pissed himself. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, when people tell you that, that's like pretty funny. There's a Haley Adams story, which we can't tell. But Jas saw the aftermath of it, and it's a story that shouldn't get out there. But it was incredible. And then, you know, like, everyone has some funny stuff, but like, obviously people don't understand how funny Shane and Tia are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are two of the funniest people you will ever meet in this whole entire world, and I don't think that got portrayed well in the Road to the Game stuff.
It's
just
more
because
like
they're
the serious
in training
side of
mode.
them. Yeah, more the serious side of them.
They show the world those people when really, like, when you're actually with them, they're not those people. Like,
especially
Tia,
in the documentary.
Yeah,
Tia did not get a good.
Oh, in the first one,
it
was bad.
and she is genuinely the most normal, down to earth, just hard worker. Like, Shane will put it on the board and then she'll be like, oh god, I gotta, what do you mean I gotta
have to do
and
that?
then, like, she'd like turn to Jas and be like, Jas, can we do this as a team? Or, you know, and it's just like, you know, like, but then, you know, like, once the timer goes and she just goes into work mode, and it's just like, she is the most normal person we've ever met, but in the best way possible. Like, you know, you always put these athletes on pedestals because you just do. It's like a natural thing. You look at them and you're
It's
like,
hard not to.
oh,
It's hard not
that's
to.
the fittest person in the world. That's the sport that I do, and they're the best, you know. But then when you meet them, they're just like everyone else that walks around and, you know, just is a normal person, you know, like.
Has your perspective changed since starting your YouTube channel to where it was, I'm just like, I like, or not starting your YouTube channel, but starting CrossFit.
Yeah.
And you had all these people who were like, wow. And then now that you're kind of in those circles, you've been able to be around them a lot more.
You still
How's
go,
your
wow.
perspective?
You know, like,
Yeah.
you do, don't you? Just like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good to feel like what
Yeah.
Christian Saw said in your video. Like, he's still, when he gets a text from his friend, he's like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? He's been talking to him for 5 years.
yeah. So it's still. It's a natural thing, you know. You look at those people and you're in awe of them when you're with them. You know, it's not like I deserve to be with these people now, because Jas and I never feel like that. You know, we're still Craig and Jas from the box. We're not like on the level of these people. We've not been to the games. We've not accomplished what they've accomplished. Yeah, we've done well in the
And
YouTube
really,
space.
it's only
and stuff,
been
but
like, we've had the channel now for like coming up to 3.5 years. But really, it's only the last 12 months. Like 2018 was the big year for us. That's when the snowball really started going. That's where we spent more time out the country than we were in it. You know, and these opportunities, finally, after kind of 2 years of real hard grind, opportunities were coming to us rather than us going and searching for them. And that was so rewarding. That was like, wow, okay, we're finally doing this thing properly. We've done something right. This is okay.
I love what we can offer athletes too, in a different perspective of, like, we just show them off as real people, you know. Like, there's a lot of people that will make documentary style of and make real cinematic stuff. I'm like, look, I just want to come hang out with you guys because I know you're just normal cool guys, and I want to show the team and, like, everyone out there that you're just normal and cool, you know. And people, I think that's what the cool thing is behind the vlog, you know. They watch the video for 10 or 15 minutes and they're like, I never knew they were like that, you know. And then
that's valuable too.
Yeah, the people change their perspective on it. And then obviously people think that we go out chasing these athletes and travel around the world to go and find them. Like, honestly, like, when we came here, we just came here to see you, and then someone said, oh, Josh Bridges is actually in San Diego where they are. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I messaged someone from X Endurance who was sponsored by, and I was like, can you put us in contact with Josh? And I was like, you know, it's not like we come here to chase athletes. It's just we take opportunities when they're there. And then,
things can happen. Like when we got Matt Fraser on, I literally messaged him on Instagram. I was just like, hey, want to be on my podcast? Just like, not at all. I was actually watching your video when I did it. When Christian's always like, just ask. You know, I was like, okay. And then he was like, okay. I was like, okay. You know, but yeah, it's been really cool. Like, for me and John, I think, I'm speaking for him a little bit, but being able to watch you guys grow, because I remember the first CrossFit workout I ever did, I was already a fan of you guys, right? Because I had been watching your videos and I was like, cool, man, they do CrossFit vlogs. Like, I took some inspiration from you guys when I made my first CrossFit workout video, and then I like shouted you out, if you want to call it that or whatever. But I was just like, hey, if you guys like CrossFit and you want to watch a vlogger, watch this channel.
And that was like really big for me to get, like, because Johnny Abbott was in YouTube already, and he. Not that he had the mindset that CrossFit was dumb, but that CrossFit was
I just had no
dangerous,
interest.
There was no interest.
I was like, I don't.
And so,
CrossFit.
like, I was watching you guys, since like your first Road to the Open. Like
Yeah,
a
you were
long-
OG. You were
yeah.
there when the content was terrible.
yeah.
I mean, we didn't want to mention it, but
Hate
No.
to break it to you, Craig.
But like being able to show this vlog, like, hey, this is what you do, and you don't have to like, because you were kind of worried, like my YouTube content's gonna drop if I start CrossFit. Like that was like a big worry.
Yeah.
Because everyone in your realm was fitness,
Yeah,
bodybuilding, weight
bodybuilding.
loss.
I thought there'd be a lot more hate when I started making CrossFit ones, and there was like none.
Yeah.
You got it. You got hate, but that's because you had a more established.
Yeah, I did at the start, but now it's like I don't deal with it at all.
I hope not. It's 3 years in.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
true.
People are starting to see CrossFit in a different light, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
You know, like when you watch the old games and it's like people are struggling to get muscle ups and like they're failing like 80-kilo snatches and stuff, like that just doesn't happen now.
Yeah. Oh,
Like you've got women snatching 105 at like Dubai, you know, and that's like
that was
insane.
crazy. I remember seeing that.
You know, and like people then can't turn around and,
it
be
looks
like,
good
"Oh,
too. It's not like
yeah,
terrible.
look at that
form.
terrible form
Yeah.
of that really nice, like, and get lost with your kipping bullshit."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I hate those people that still come in and be like, yeah, but look, I bet he does 60 kipping pull-ups. I bet you he can't do a pull-up. I'm like, bro, I done 25 strict, you know, and that's not been.
Yeah.
You need that foundation to be able to do the butterfly stuff and the big numbers,
Mhm.
right? Like people just don't see that. They just think like, oh, you're just doing so much momentum, and like I wish I could just find those people and just like tie them all in a chain, just bring them to the box and be like,
Look.
yeah, have fun. Like let's like see how many you can do strict, and then let's teach you how to do the kipping and see if you can have some fun with it.
I feel like we're quite lucky with the CrossFit community, though. I think that rolls over to the whole feedback on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. Because I feel like you say, broader markets like makeup or gaming or whatever, you've got a lot broader spectrum of people, bigger audience. Whereas I think the whole ethos behind CrossFit and the community and how people think and support each other and generally how that goes is definitely reflected in like the feedback that we get from doing stuff. I think we're quite fortunate like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. Like, a lot of people will say that CrossFit is such a small market. Like, CrossFit is like, if fitness is a human, CrossFit is maybe someone's, like, the thumb of the amount of people, you know?
Yeah, and we forget that sometimes, like, you know, because we edit CrossFit videos, we go see CrossFit athletes, we go to different CrossFit boxes, we travel around the world doing all those CrossFit stuff. And then
You think
you're like,
everyone does CrossFit?
yeah, you're like, everyone does it. And then you step out and you're like, no one does CrossFit.
And then you go to, like, we go to, like, the LA Fit Expo or whatever.
Yeah,
You go to
but all
these
these
fit
expos have now got CrossFit events in them.
It's
They're
true.
It's starting,
Yeah.
but, like, LA, nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? LA is a huge fit expo with no CrossFit representation whatsoever. And so then you realize how huge the fitness industry is. And it's just like,
Yeah,
dang.
it's shifting to the functional
It
fitness
is.
side, though.
It
You'll
is,
see that
for sure.
continue to happen. And I think, like, a lot of people will come up to us on the vlogs and stuff and be like, you got me into CrossFit. And I think, you know, that's perseverance. You know, like, people see us for 3 years in a row going in and out of the gym and having fun and doing rope climbs and running and doing snatch and clean and jerks. And they maybe just go into a commercial gym and just doing, you know, the standard, like, bench and deadlift. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then they start seeing what we're doing day in, day out and how, like, Jas is killing it and everyone's killing it and doing these handstand push-ups and stuff and being like,
and
I
how
want
we're
to go and do that. You know,
and
that
we're
looks
still
fun.
benching and deadlifting.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, we're still, like
What
the
do you
nice
mean
thing
we
about
bench?
CrossFit.
What's on about bench?
What's a bench?
We
Yeah,
did,
what's a bench?
We did bench like a couple weeks ago.
That's true. A couple weeks
we-
ago.
yeah.
We bench all the time. 3 times a year.
I remember listening to like a Rich Froning interview, and they were saying something like, he was just saying like, a lot of people will be like, oh, like, you don't bench or you don't do stuff like that. He's like, we could do whatever we want. That's the point of CrossFit, is like, we can literally do whatever we want, and then that'll be CrossFit, because we're just taking from every other sport and trying to implement it into. And so
The way you say CrossFit just then the last couple of times, it sounded like from like the documentaries.
CrossFit.
CrossFit.
CrossFit. Sean Wood.
One thing I can't, this is like super changing subjects, but with the Jillian Michaels thing and like her, I couldn't believe how off she was about when she was talking about how like you don't do enough stuff. That was when she said that, I was like, what?
Did you look at that?
Yeah.
Like,
I couldn't believe it.
Right, so this Jillian Michaels person, like, she's a person that was on The Biggest Loser and whatever. She, like, I looked at her thing. She got a fan base of like 1.2 million, you know, and whatever on Instagram and whatnot. But then, if you actually look at the engagement she gets, like on some of her videos, she'll get like 100,000 views. But like on some of my videos, I'll get 100,000 views. You know, that's not like, and when you saw that video being produced, she was in a white studio.
Yeah.
like, if you're going to voice your opinion and be like, you know, like real about it and stuff, you'll just do it like on your phone, like selfie mode, wherever you are at that time, right? She purposely went into a studio and filmed that to get attention.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, a couple of
Without
weeks
a doubt.
before,
That's
she
very
talked about
premeditated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she talked about the keto diet and bashed that because she wanted to attack that community, and then she wanted to come and attack this one. Like, people like that, I don't have time for, because they're just, you can tell they're just burning out and they got nothing to do about it. And if you watch her workout videos, you're like, I can tell why you don't like CrossFit, because whatever the hell you're doing is not on this planet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just like
the kettlebell swings that she was doing.
yeah, it's like, that is dangerous. Like, yeah, okay, the CrossFit box, if you don't do it right and you go to the wrong one here and there and everywhere, there's going to be an odd CrossFit box that's not good.
The same
but
with any other
isn't that
gym.
right? Isn't that the same with any other
When you go to a
sport,
Globo
though?
gym,
Yeah.
I see so
It's not
much
even
bad
to
stuff
do
when we
with
go to a
gyms.
Globo
It's to
gym.
do with sports. If you're learning, you're not going to have perfect technique straight away, because if you could, everyone would be a pro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not how it goes. The whole point of learning is that there are faults involved. And also, like, I don't mind anybody having an opinion on stuff so long as their points are valid and true. But like, when you just are throwing like incorrect statements out there, I'm just like, this is completely
and
pointless.
it would be one thing if she didn't have that audience, but she does. You know what I mean? So then you're throwing out this false information to millions of people.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, I have to talk. Like, I can't just not talk about this.
Yeah, it's just, it looked like someone had given her a script and just said, be a bit like, laugh through it a little bit and just like be smug about it and just say it. And it was just like, get lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're pointless. Get out of my life. You know?
If people just want to ruffle feathers like that, I just don't understand.
It was nice to kind of see before the CrossFit community's kind of been like, yeah, I know we get made fun of. Yeah, we get made fun of. Yeah. This one was kind of like, you know what? Like, no. Like, what we have is good. You know? And it was like this, like, all the memes, all the stuff that was coming out of
make
it.
what's great again.
Oh my
Love
gosh,
that dude.
yeah.
It's like 50 odd and he's like just creating magic.
But, like, it was finally like a clapback. Finally, like, you know what? No. Like, we're not just going to... We get it. You make fun of CrossFit. We get it. But let's look at, you know, what
Well,
you're
it was
doing.
nice. It was nice for the community to kind of come together too. You know, for that, because lately it's just been like, with all the changes, everyone's been like, "What the heck?" But then everyone was able to come together and be like, "Nah, that's not gonna happen." You know. So that was cool. Yeah, that was really nice. I really liked that a lot.
Even when we talked to Greg Glassman about it, he was just like, yeah. What is she doing?
Yeah, I think like, well, because she was on The Biggest Loser, and like I said this in my video, she was supposed to be like the hard trainer that's like very like, you know, she's like mean and stuff. But the thing about The Biggest Loser is like the amount of people that have gained the weight back, it's like almost everyone has. And so like the things that they did, they would have like morbidly obese people like doing these workouts that are just not safe at all and barely eating anything. And it's like, how can you build your whole career is built off of that, right? That's where most people know her from. Like, nobody, what else was she ever on? I don't know. But like,
when you put
fitness
competitive weight
DVDs.
loss,
Yeah,
that's just
it's
like
just
not safe.
It's
And
not safe.
Like, you're trying to earn money, so people, make money and win money. So people are like, I'm just going to do whatever I can.
I'm just gonna starve myself, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what would happen.
Well, that was like every show that was. It was the weight loss version of every show that was being made. You know, Real World, Road Rules, Survivor. Like, it was just like, oh, let's make a weight loss version. Like, it was just that season of TV where it was all about competitions, all about voting people out.
So, what's it like having your cool truck?
Yeah, I love it. It's so obnoxious in the UK. No, I feel like I'm a country person at heart, and I've always wanted a big truck, and it's just like, we nailed it. It's got
You
like
went from
9 grand's worth of kit on it, so it's like a Ranger, but if you put like a standard Ranger next to our Ranger, it's not.
Oh yeah, no.
This
Look
goes with
completely
like the
different.
Craig convert over the years though, because when we very first got together, and I was like, pickup truck's perfect because you can see above people. Craig is like, yeah, but Range
Yeah, but
Rovers
then,
are
you
really
know-
cool. I was like, everyone has a Range Rover. They're
Nah,
so like, come on now.
No,
And
the truck's
then-
cooler and stuff, but it's just the fact that, you know, like sometimes when you think of pickup truck, you don't think like it looks cool, you know, because it's
Yeah.
just like you see all the banged up ones.
Well, it was
yeah.
actually when we went to America, and then Craig was
You
like,
see like the cool
I need a
ones.
truck.
Yeah.
And I was
These are
like,
cool
After
trucks.
being, what was it, Tommy
Yeah.
Venus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you see like the cool ones, and you're like, that's just so badass. Like, I don't want a Range Rover. I want a giant truck.
Did you like start listening to country music because of CrossFit?
No, I was listening to. I don't know why I was listening to country music. I just used to play acoustic guitar and stuff. So
Really?
like, yeah, for sure. So like, I just like listening
Craig's
to
one of
acoustic
those
stuff.
annoying people that's really good at most things.
Yeah.
And it started off with like,
I don't know what that
like
is.
John Mayer, and then it like progressed into more country style stuff because it's got a good beat and it's nice. It's fun. I like it.
Are you like? I feel like you're like one of you two are like some of the only people in the UK that listen to country music.
Yeah,
That's not true. I mean, because you guys
I
went to
don't know,
that
but
concert, right? And there was like,
Yeah,
and
there's a
that's
lot.
like
It was
sold
huge.
out every year, the Country to Country Festival.
Yeah, but that's stupid.
That's
You know, you
because
think
your
about
one
that,
country
right?
concert the whole
Country
year.
to country, they'll sell out the O2, and the O2 is freaking huge, right? And it seats like 25,000 people. And then sometimes when we sit down with Jas, I'm like, you do realize on some of the videos, like, we'll average filling this double twice.
yeah.
In it.
That's
Well,
every
now it's
day.
almost all your.
And I'm like,
videos
that
now.
is
Get 'em-
bananas. Like,
Yeah.
it's when you look at it like that, you're like, this is just crazy. Like, what is social media? Like,
If
this
only
is
there was a
nuts.
way to like get a meetup of everyone.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
the
Like,
thing.
just,
Yeah.
like,
Because
the
you do
problem is
meetups
you
and
have-
it's
That would
only
be
a
the
certain amount of
longest
people can go.
line in the
Oh my
world.
Oh
Gosh.
my gosh. Well, let's talk about that. So you guys have you done Body Power twice now?
We've done it once with the hustle stand.
With the hustle stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when I went,
Mhm.
we just kind of Craig got injured and then we
Yep.
Yeah,
just had to
so
hear him
bad. That was a
complain
really
all-
bad injury too.
Yeah, it was.
That was like
Yeah.
I couldn't move.
How's your knee today?
Yeah, my knee's a little bit better. Actually.
Oh, that's great.
No,
Good.
It's because
Good.
I'm working out again.
Oh, okay.
Right? we didn't work out for 3
For all
days
of
and my
you-
knee started
for all
hurting.
of
I
you
started
guys
working out again. I
listening-
feel good again.
For all of you guys listening, Craig can have the smallest niggle and your arm can be hanging off and he will still moan about it over
He's
you.
like, yeah, that
moaning."
looks like it hurts, but my knee right now.
That is merely a flesh wound.
He-
Have I told you about my knee?
He told Josh Bridges, who is in like a
No,
leg
hey,
cast,
hey,
basically.
no.
He was telling him how bad his
You're
leg
selling
hurt.
me here. Right, you're throwing me under a bus here, and that's not true. When we were with him, I didn't say anything about my knee, and then you two brought it up.
That's true.
John
That
did.
is true. But still, Josh was such a nice guy. He was like, "Oh, your knee hurts? You want to floss it?" And then Craig, of course, he didn't want to do anything about it. He was
Yeah.
just like, "I
No,
guess I will." And
I
then
mean,
he grabs it and just wraps his knee up, and he's just like, "Man."
You clearly don't know me very well, Josh. I just like moaning about it.
Yeah.
I don't actually want to fix the problem, but sure,
This
if
is
you've
really
got some
painting me
flaws.
in a bad light.
I mean, we say all this, and there's only one person at this table who finished the workout.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
because I had a bad
whatever.
knee.
Why, don't you don't need
Hey,
to.
we've
you know-
already discussed that
Yeah.
we worked for 30 seconds longer than
Yeah,
Craig did.
all right.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
We all worked 30 seconds longer than
Yeah.
Craig.
Yeah,
so
we
we're
worked
allowed
to
to
maximum capacity
Yep.
for 30 seconds longer
I
than
would
you.
at least gone 3 minutes quicker if my knee wasn't painful.
But so, what was it like having the stand at Body Power for the first time?
Insane.
Yeah, that's all you need to say, Jess.
It absolutely was
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
just blew us away because we'd only done a launch 2-3 weeks before, so we were
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, everyone's kind of got their kit, they might just use it as like a point to come and say hi to us or whatever, but the stand was busy all weekend.
Body Power
and
was
we
insane.
had a
Yeah.
Stupid. Like, Kalipa was there at the time, and he was like, what is this hustle stuff? Because it was like all around the outside of the arena. We had the hustle team at the time. Like, we were competing, and it was just like, you would look around the edge of the arena, and every second shirt would be a hustle shirt. And obviously, Khalifa's walking around. He did a bit of judging and things like that, which was cool. And he just came over at the end, and he was like, this is really cool. And just walked off. That's just like, that's cool.
Has there been a moment for you guys where you've like taken a step back, or maybe it could have been physically seeing something, or just like with the videos or whatever, that you were able to take a step back and like, wow, that's insane. Whether it's meeting somebody you've met, or it's something you've done travel wise, because I mean the travels you guys have gone on. But has there been one where you guys were just like, whoa?
The one that sticks in my head is Drew Wayman. He was because he was like a follower of the channel, and he messaged me and stuff, and because I get quite a lot of DMs a day, I don't always look at them just because I'm doing other
You
stuff.
can't. I mean, it's
and by the time like 2 or 3 days have passed, it's
Yeah.
They're
like
just gone,
so
yeah.
far down
And then,
that
like,
you maybe don't see
he
it.
won the first day at regionals next to against Matt Fraser and stuff, like the 333 and the Linda and stuff. And then the next day, he just walks out into the middle of the floor right next to Matt Fraser in his homemade, hustle-made T-shirt, tie-dye. And I was just like, that guy really believes in the brand. And then I like searched him up, and he'd already sent us the message saying like, oh, I'm so proud of you guys. Like, I loved seeing the Hustle Made logo, and then it was crazy when you announced that it's yours, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I love this dude. Like, that was crazy to see, like, actually the impact that someone believed in it so much that they would go out of their way. And like, I mean, it was a bit weird. I was like, dude, the guy made it himself. Like, should we
That's pretty funny.
take that down? And like, or no, we were like, nah,
this
you know,
is
like,
technically copyright, but
Yeah.
we'll roll with it for,
Yeah,
and I was
on
just
this
like,
occasion.
that was just cool to see how much someone would believe in it and put themselves next to Matt Fraser in a shirt, like live on, the regional broadcast,
Mhm.
in it. And I was like, wow, that's really hit home.
And then you guys eventually made a tie-dye shirt, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
different style, but yeah.
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 He's the
bright
inspiration
one.
behind it. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
and then coming up, you know, like, so Drew is a good guy, and he's a great athlete, and he's one of those people that behind the scenes just grinds his ass off. Like he's just such a hard worker, and he doesn't get the recognition that he really like deserves. And he's got like the tattoo down his leg that says "Believe," and his T-shirt that says "Believe." And I was like, you know what, I love that design. And you know, once you mix the belief with the hustle, it's like what you know, you have to believe and then work for it to create. So I was like, dude, if we'll put hustle on the back, we'll have believe on the front, and we'll give you X amount from each T-shirt in the next launch. And like, because he wants to go to Australia and do one of the sanctioned events there. And I was like, look, dude, if we can help you out, because like obviously the following that we have and the traffic that comes through our channel and through the website when we go live, I'm like, we can really help this guy to, you know, try and push his career a bit further. And that's cool. Like that's been really nice for us to.
That's kind of like from a business point
Yeah.
of view, though. So that's like, you know, but that's our first step as
Yeah.
hustle to try and kind of like see what we can do for hustle
people.
athletes and stuff like that.
But that goes from seeing him on the floor next to Matt Fraser believing in us to then us going, we believe in you, and like turn it round and be like, oh, you know, we can try and support this dude if we can and see what we can do, you know.
So with that being said, is there anything that you guys, I mean, we've kind of talked about what your plans are, what you would like to see in the future for hustle, but like, is there anything like that you can think of that would be like, that would be cool if we could do that with the brand?
What, as like items of clothing or just ideas?
Ideas.
Like just
yeah, like ideas, like doing things, whatever. It could be anything.
Add in the Super Bowl.
Add in the Super Bowl. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, we blew our complete budget and now we're broke.
And we don't have any money to
Yeah.
buy clothes for
Yeah.
people to actually buy.
we now have zero stock, but look how cool we are.
Yeah, look how cool we are.
I don't know. Nah, we just take day by day. People always I always say to people, we're riding a wave. You know, you're just on a wave. You don't know where it's gonna go. You're just taking it and riding it whilst you can. And that's like, I feel like that's the YouTube channel. That's hustle. That's everything at the moment. Just
You
taking
just have to
opportunities and going with it.
take every opportunity is probably like any advice that we would give to anybody else thinking about doing this is just take every opportunity, because you will only, I actually said this on the podcast we did the other day, you know, you will either gain and it will be a positive experience, or you'll learn stuff from the experience. So there's no bad thing that can happen from you accepting these opportunities. You either, you know, succeed or you learn from them, one of the two. Especially when, you know, we're like, oh, sometimes it'd be nice to have a bit of a routine and just get back to normal for a couple of weeks, and then something will crop up and it's like, we've got to go and do it. And, you know, you got to take it whilst it's there, because who knows how long this journey will last. Who knows how long YouTube will exist for, how long CrossFit will exist for, how long people will be interested in watching us. You know, all of these things are so uncertain. So you just got to take it whilst it's there and just enjoy it.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for coming on, you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
it was
for
fun.
having
Now,
us.
if you are here at the end of this is like an hour and a half long.
Yep.
You guys are freaking troopers. You deserve a hustle
You are
Mate t-shirt.
die-hard fans.
Yeah, if you're still listening, DM Craig and he'll send you a free.
I was here at the
I want
end.
the T-shirt.
Yeah.
I want the T-shirt that says "I made it to the end" on the back.
That's what she said.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yep.
Yep.
Get some more food.
Yeah, that was terrible.